Okay, and now it's time for our weekend recap. We're going to kick it off with the Estelle Mossely versus Karen Carabajal fight that Estelle won via split decision on the undercard of Kevin Lele Sajo's fight, which he was main eventing over there in La France. Also, for a secondary version of a WBA title.
Few interesting angles to this story.
The fight didn't seem to have a broadcast partner here in the United States, so I wasn't able to see it myself, and you might be wondering, then how are you going to cover it? What is there to talk about? Well, you'll notice that there were not one, but two secondary versions of a WBA title on the card at a time where the WBA is supposed to be phasing out these secondary trinkets.
Remember a few weeks ago they said they wanted to get it down to one title per weight class?
How many times have we heard that before? Where seen here, they're doing the opposite. You've got Estelle fighting for an interim title and Kevin fighting for a gold title, servicing as confirmation of what I said in a previous live stream, that in the face of the upcoming Muhammad Ali Revival Act that is expected to be passed
here in the United States.
Remember that the Revival Act requires alphabet organizations like the WBA to phase out secondary titles and limit them to just one per division.
And remember that I said what the WBA might do is go international with these trinkets, because the Revival Act, like the Ali Act, is only really a thing in the United States.
If a couple of Frenchies want to fight for those secondary trinkets, what can the United States do about it?
Not a goddamn fucking thing.
Estelle Mossely fought for one yesterday, the interim title, sporting a professional record of 13 wins with no losses and 1 draw, 1 recorded knockout, having debuted as a professional in 2018, out of the amateurs and into the pros. This has been a fighter who I've been thoroughly underwhelmed with for many years now.
Only 14 professional fights, having debuted as a professional in 2018. You would have thought Estelle, being an Olympic gold medalist, would have got a lot more done by now, but she's been sort of on the fringe, on the outskirts.
Sparsely active in some years and not active at all in others. In 2021, she only fought once. In 2022, she only fought once. She skipped all of 2024 and 2025, just now returning to the ring in April of 2026.
This fight this past weekend was her second fight of this year. In April, she fought Bexy Matias, and yesterday she fought Karen Carabajal. That's the same Karen Carabajal who fought Katie Taylor, who fought Rhiannon Dixon.
It's the same Karen Carabajal that fought Estelle yesterday, who beat her via a split decision. If it feels like Estelle's career doesn't have as much traction as it should, it's because for a period she was juggling both an amateur and professional boxing career.
Trying to do both and trying to qualify for another set of Olympic Games to try and win another gold medal.
Sort of a professional amateur, if you will. And while I am thoroughly underwhelmed with this fighter and this fight, it is consequential, because it being for a WBA interim title in the lightweight division, that now makes Estelle Stephanie Hahn's mandatory challenger.
Stephanie Hahn, the WBA champion, now promoted by MVP, who successfully defended her title against Holly Holm, not once but twice, in action not that long ago. She now has Estelle to contend with. And as underwhelmed as I have been with Estelle Mossely, Estelle stands a good chance of beating Stephanie. Oh yes.
The way that Stephanie labored and languished with Holly Holm in her last fight, a fight that a lot of people thought should have went to Holly Holm. Holly, who's in her 40s. If you struggled with a 40-some-odd-year-old Holly Holm, you're definitely going to struggle with Estelle.
Estelle is best described as a finesse fighter, a cerebral sort of boxer, big on fundamentals. Nothing about her really jumps out at you in terms of speed or power, athleticism. Physically,
she is a somewhat unremarkable fighter, but in terms of fundamentals and X's and O's, that is where her strength lies. She is a good boxer. She's just become Stephanie Hahn's problem. Stephanie Hahn does not have the same amateur background of an Estelle Mossely, and as a professional, she doesn't have that much experience either.
And so this could be a potential banana skin for her. If a fight between her and Estelle gets made, I imagine that it would be promoted by MVP and happen here in the United States.
But as we've seen on several MVP shows, the MVP fighter doesn't always win.
So that's really what the story is, that Stephanie Hahn may have a problem on her hands with Estelle Mossely, and that the WBA hasn't stopped mass-producing secondary titles, they're just doing it abroad.
They're doing it internationally.
A lot of unanimous decisions today.
No, that fight right there took the air out of the dang show.
Tell me the truth.
Dude, talk about falling asleep.
Yeah.
Oh, no, they got you, too. Oh, dang. Oh, no. Man, it was so hard to stay focused. I mean, come on, man. You got to give us something. 4th of July, bro. And I know it's your first title defense, bro, but you got to do more. Like, if you're able to hit the guy that much and dominate him that much, bro, like, you got to at least have the killer instinct to finish him, man. And it almost seemed to me like he ran out of juice. Like, I know what they were saying on the broadcast. I disagreed wholeheartedly. However, it was like, at the end, I was like, come on, man, step on the gas, finish this guy. Get him up out of here. It's that easy, right?
Yeah.
Disappointing.
And here's the thing, right? So you're new to this, and we said, you'll get ready for them to come after you, right? One thing that fighters do, they watch what we say to them, right? On these broadcasts, we're always talking past them. We're answering the questions to you. We're telling the fans, I'm talking to you right now, Shoo. You got to do more, big dog. Moments like that can't happen no more. You're better than that right there. Get creative. Do what you do best. Be a fighter, man. He's a Brownsville kid. He got it.
Yeah.
But he not showing it.
I think that's what we all was talking about before the fight.
Talk past him again.
Seeing what he was going to do, if he was going to step on the gas and fight. He didn't do that tonight.
Right.
I think he just fought the fight just to win.
Yeah.
He didn't change gears.
You said that was going to be, you thought that might be the fight of the night, if I'm not mistaken. Did you say
it
that?
was the one he was excited for.
I actually did.
Yeah.
And I feel like, kind of is what it is. It was his fault that fight wasn't more of what it could have been.
The honesty from Timothy Bradley and Sean Porter and Terrence Crawford after Bruce Carrington's fight against Palacios was refreshing because so often during these broadcasts, they talk up the house fighter.
Because the promotion is behind them, because they're trying to sell you on that guy, they try to pour sugar on shit. Whereas these guys were honest about what they saw, that it was underwhelming, that it was not impressive and boring at times, that Bruce, having all the tools to take it to this guy, he should have done more.
And he actually started off the fight all right. I was liking what I was seeing from Bruce in the beginning. Very fast, very sharp, very accurate, and defensively aware. Catching and countering, rolling and countering, pivoting off the ropes.
Turning his opponent.
In the beginning, Bruce was switched on, and it was difficult for Palacios to land a clean punch on him, but as the fight progressed past the midway point,
Bruce sort of ran out of gas.
he started slowing down, started taking more punches, more punishment. I think in the last 2 or 3 rounds of the fight, he was actually hurt and rendered in survival mode. Saw that he was tucked behind his guard, blocking punches, Palacios coming on strong, trying to pour it on, though by then, Bruce had already amassed an early lead, enough to win a decision. So it's not really a question of who deserved to win, but why didn't Bruce do more? Why didn't he finish this guy? Bruce, who's been calling out the other champions at the weight, and this was not the best advertisement.
That he could beat Rafael Espinoza or Brandon Figueroa or even Angelo Leo.
Gassing out towards the end of the fight, I think, accents that Bruce is struggling to make this weight. That's what often happens when a fighter stays in a division too long. And if you've been following my coverage of Bruce Carrington, you'll know that I've questioned many times, how much longer can this guy keep making 126? Because he's 27 or 28 years old, close to 30. He can't keep making this weight forever.
I've long maintained that undisputed for Bruce Carrington, out of the question. It's not going to happen, but now I'm wondering if he'll even get a unification before leaving this division, because it's starting to look like he has to.
Running out of gas like that towards the tail end of the fight is an indicator that he may be struggling to make this weight.
Why wouldn't he? He's 28 years old, isn't he?
Now, what fights Bruce has not been able to get to, it's not exactly his fault. The featherweight champions have all collectively been staying away from each other in the hopes that, so long as they can hold on to their belts, they can land a big Inoue fight. That's what they've been waiting for Inoue to move up, though to no avail.
Because he's not moved up yet and he's not about to. Now the plan for him is for him to fight Bam.
But that's why they haven't been unifying with each other. That's what they've been waiting for, so when Bruce doesn't land a unification match, it's not exactly his fault.
Better still, this was not a good advertisement for his chances in a unification match. Against Rafael, I think Rafa's the most dangerous champion at this weight. The most dangerous fight for anybody, just because of his sheer size.
Punching power. Something similar applies to Brandon, who's also got a lot of size for this division. A hell of a work rate.
Some power.
At least enough that he was able to knock out Nick Ball in Liverpool. And you have Angelo Leo, who gave Luis Lopez a brain bleed when he was still champion, when they fought for his title. Which one of these three belt holders does Bruce stand a chance of beating? Rafael?
I don't think so, man.
Even Brandon now seems like a risky fight, where before, I used to be pretty sure that Bruce could outbox Brandon Figueroa. Now I'm not so sure, because Brandon's a persistent pressure fighter who throws punches and bunches from the start of the fight to the finish. And if you gas out with Brandon, the way you did with Palacios yesterday, you could be in a lot of trouble. Now that seems a closer fight.
Bitch!
I suppose that would make Angelo Leo the most beatable of the three other belt holders in the division. I still think Bruce can beat that guy. He might go through a late scare to do it, but I do think he can beat him.
The question is, will he even get the chance to do it? Because Bruce has long been calling for unifications with the other champions, but it's remained elusive throughout. And now it seems like he's on borrowed time, and very soon he might have to move up to 130 pounds, where I don't think the champions are going to be as squirrely.
I don't think they're going to be as nervous about fighting him at 130 pounds. No, sir. He might actually get the opportunities at 130 that he's now not getting at 126, but that yesterday was not the best advertisement for Bruce Carrington's boxing. It's the worst I've ever seen him, and the bell tolls for thee. I think Abdullah Mason and late replacement Albert Bell rescued the card with what was their thriller. Remember, Albert Bell, a late replacement for Joe Cordina, who still is Abdullah's mandatory challenger.
Joe Cordina got into it with some guy over there in Wales, I think it was, and he laid him out in the street. As a result, he was hit with an assault and battery charge and thus unable to enter into the United States. So Albert Bell stood in his place.
Albert Bell, who was originally supposed to be facing amateur standout of Cuba Andy Cruz in an IBF eliminator to crown an IBF mandatory challenger. All things considered, I think Andy Cruz dodged a bullet in Albert Bell. You will have heard me say more than once that I wasn't completely sure that Andy Cruz was able to handle that assignment, and now having seen Albert Bell in action, I'm convinced Andy dodged the bullet. He wasn't going to win that fight.
But Abdullah Mason did it by way of late knockout in the 12th, and let's talk about how, at the start, he actually got off to a rocky start because him and Albert, they know each other. They've sparred each other a good number of times over the years, so there was a sense of familiarity there that Albert Bell wasn't in over his head with Abdullah.
Not in the beginning, as Abdullah, the shorter fighter of the two, attempted to close the distance with straight punches coming in. Albert was able to use his height and use his length to keep the counters coming.
They were coming in hot.
He didn't let Abdullah Mason have it all his way by closing the distance. He would stop him at the door, let go of a salvo of punches to get some respect.
That was working for a while, at least through the midway point.
Till Abdullah Mason makes an adjustment. Albert Bell, being so tall and long for the weight, he's got a long torso. Big target for body punches. And you see Abdullah Mason start to go there consistently.
That was fucking smart.
Throughout the beginning of the fight, Abdullah's struggling to land the head punches, but targeting the body, which is a bit harder to defend, that was the ticket. That's how he was able to break down Albert Bell, because you don't recover from those body punches as easily as you do the head punches.
Abdullah Mason's conscious effort to go to Albert's midsection took the air out of the tires gradually from Albert Bell to where his feet, they're starting to get heavier. The counters, they're not coming in hot anymore. There's not as much steam on the punches.
Abdullah was breaking him down, and he broke him down by going to the body, consistently round after round after the second half, targeting his midsection, which simultaneously opened him up for the head punches.
How so?
Abdullah spending so much time on his midsection, Albert was focused on protecting that as best as he could, tucking those elbows, which left his head open for head punches.
Abdullah starts to land those. He starts snapping his head back, opens a cut, a bad cut, over his left eye, bloodies his nose, busts his lip.
Albert Bell was feeling the pace. He'd never been in this deep with somebody this good. Not under the hot lights. Abdullah was able to keep the pressure on, making that adjustment, to go to his midsection, go to his body, stay there, and that will open him up for the head punches. And it worked.
Scored 2 knockdowns.
Though it took a lot of effort to do it because Albert Bell was hanging tough, surviving as best as he could, constantly holding to the point I was surprised the referee didn't warn him. Deduct a point. Do something!
After a while, that's all Albert was doing. Trying to move from one end of the ring to the other to put distance between himself and Abdullah, and when Abdullah would close it, he would hold. Try to smother him. It didn't work.
But it did buy him time, though eventually Abdullah wore his man down and scored a somewhat dubious stoppage. Dubious to some, not dubious to others, not dubious to me.
After what were 2 very short hooks in the pocket, Albert Bell hitting the canvas for the second time, the referee finally decided to wave it off. Some people think it was premature.
Devin Haney among them. Devin Haney described it as being the worst stoppage that he's ever seen. I think he's exaggerating. I think he's being dramatic. I've seen far worse. Could Albert Bell have been allowed to continue? Perhaps.
That's what Devin was arguing. Abdullah is nice, and he will get even better from that fight, but that was a terrible stoppage. Albert deserved to finish the fight that he might have been winning.
I don't actually think the stoppage was that bad, and context is key. While Albert did very good work in the first half of the fight, most of the second was just him getting beat up and being on the run, doing a lot of holding.
Badly bloodied, already having been knocked down once, that when it happens for a second time,
the referee had seen enough. I mean, most of the second half really was just Albert getting beat up, badly bloodied, and moving around.
I don't have a problem with the stoppage personally. I've seen better stoppages, and I've seen worse ones, but I don't really have an issue here. I don't.
Now, earlier this week, it was announced by the WBO that in spite of his legal kerfuddle, Joe Cordina would remain Abdullah's mandatory, meaning Abdullah has to fight him. At some point later this year, he's got to deal with that guy. And now, like before, not only do I favor Abdullah to beat him, I favor Abdullah to stop him.
I think Abdullah knocks him out. I think that was a good advertisement yesterday for Abdullah's boxing and him as a physical specimen, that here he is with Albert Bell, a short-notice opponent, a very statuesque and durable fighter who can fight, and he was able to stop him. If he could stop a big guy like Albert, he can stop a small one like Joe.
Remember, Joe used to fight at super featherweight. He's at lightweight now, but he ain't been there all that long. And I really like Abdullah's chances in that fight. I think that's gonna be another highlight reel knockout for the WBO champion. Congratulations to him.